Right. I'll also share my screen because that's been requested before. So I'm just going to share the meeting agenda. Um, I've got the only two things so far, so probably be pretty quick. Just FYI for people who aren't on the backend team, we're experimenting with. So previously, like for waiting issues, I've just done it all, with the exception of when I was on parental leave when like Mario and Yam did it. But that doesn't really scale. And also, as we're planning to split the team, that's not going to work for a new engineering manager as well. So we're talking about ways to like have the backend team wait issues without doing a whole planning poker thing, which I think is probably too much overhead given the amount of issues we have in a given release. So there's a lot of discussion there. Some really good ideas from the backend team. Other backend teams also do this. For instance, Manage do it. So I'm also checking with them, like what's worked for them, what hasn't. And yeah, that's just sort of FYI. If anybody's got any questions, go ahead and ask. Otherwise, I wanted to talk a bit about 12.2. So I'm still not totally sure, like, how, what a release is, like, given that we've got this sort of auto deploy thing going on, and we still release monthly on the 22nd, but we don't have a feature freeze anymore. But we auto deploy master each week, assuming it's deployable, which it should be in a deployable state. And we also construct the final package release based on one of those auto deploy releases at the moment. Basically, the upshot of that is I had a chat with Donald earlier. I put a comment in this issue where we were planning 12.1 that it's kind of hard to tell what the current status is and what's going to make it, unless something's already merged. Like, it's hard to be certain. So I've just put them in a sort of rough confidence order about where I see those issues, and Donald's added some as well. Couple of things from that. I think that an issue that has backend and front end both working on it takes longer to be closed, but I don't think that's a problem. It just makes it harder for me as a manager when I'm looking at the board, because the weight of the issues that is currently in progress, like assigned to backend engineers, is a huge percentage of the overall weight that was on this milestone. And that's not because people haven't been working. It's just because the issues aren't closed, because they take time, especially when there's coordination. So that's sort of an attempt to capture where we are. I've started moving some of the stuff that was at the bottom of 12.1 out into later milestones. And I think Donald said he was doing the same for front end. The impact that has is on 12.2, obviously. So the three things that I think are most likely to have some work happen in 12.2 are the drag and drop issues and epics in the tree, the syncing namespaces to Jira using their new API, and the adding an epic and removing an epic from the issue sidebar. The first two are in development, but won't be merged by the time we start working on 12.2, I don't think. And the last one hasn't had anyone pick it up yet, so I think Donald's already asked if we can move that over. We then have 4 issues in the description, which I think are still valid. I don't think anybody's suggesting we move those out, so I think we're all good there. So that's the not filters, which I think Alexis is still working on. The expand epics to view the children in the roadmap, collapsing the board list. So Martin, I think, has been working on the front end for this in this release, and then in the next release, we're going to add the back end to persist those settings. Like, so if you access on a different device, you still have the same list collapsed as you would on another device. And then finally, the board list capacity line, which we've talked about before. And then there's one more I added, which was Eric mentioned as a high priority, but wasn't with the direction label, which was allowing email notifications to be disabled for all users of a group. It says all project, but the MVC we care about here is groups. So this means that at the moment, like, I as a user can say, don't give me any emails from the GitLab org group, but the owner of the GitLab org group can't say this group needs to send no emails because maybe there's sensitive content in this group that can't be sent over a channel like email, which isn't the most secure channel. Or maybe there's some other reason, but yeah, whatever it is, like, that's the requirement there. Basically the upshot of that is, and I know I'm talking a lot, so like if you want to jump in, like feel free to just put something in the chat if you don't feel comfortable interrupting me, but it's fine to interrupt me. At the start of this issue, I was like, oh, maybe we should bring something else in. I actually don't think we should now, because that's like 8 sort of fairly major issues. If you include the 3 that I've estimated will probably have some work happen in 12.2, there might be more than 3, there might be less than 3. That's just an estimate, but I think it would be too ambitious to take more. I don't know if anybody disagrees, like please comment. Like I feel like we've got enough on our plate. And then I was just mentioning at the bottom how I was going to prioritize the board as Eric's out. He did message me on Slack because he's just trying to keep track of things even though he's on vacation. So, but hopefully that can be pretty lightweight for him. So at the top is going to be security issues due this month. I think they're all backend this month, so this only affects the backend team, but any security issue that's due this month, we need to get done to meet that SLO. The features that I listed just there as high priority. Any items that we're carrying over from 12.1 can go then below those 2. In theory, they should probably go above the features, but the features tend to be bigger, so I think it's easier to slot the things that are carrying over, which are smaller, below those. And then, yeah, I think I get what Donald was saying. Then P2 bugs, because those have an SLO of 60 days, I think we say, and then just the rest. I wasn't really going to bother with like dragging every single thing to the exactly right position in the board, because it's not how we work. So I'm going to pick on someone. Alexis, does that sound good to you? Any concerns about those issues that we're bringing into 12.2, or the ones that might carry over from 12.1 into 12.2?
Yeah, I think if I heard you correctly, you said 4 is going to move out.
So the 3 here, so we don't know because we're still working on it. The 3 here are the most likely to have some work happen in 12.2. Now, when I say happen in 12.2, that's also kind of confusing, because if we finish something early in 12.2 development milestone, it might still actually end up in the 12.1 release on the 22nd of the month. But yeah, those are the 3 that are most likely to have some work, which I would count as a significant amount of work to happen in 12.2. And then these 4 are the sort of things we're starting on. These 5 are the things we're starting on next month, as well as sort of major features that we would
yeah, that looks good. Catherine she's had a little trouble recruiting people for research for the capacity line, but I think that's going to finish up this week.
Okay,
and
cool.
She's also doing a little bit of research on NOT. So, but I'm looking at that today, so I think that should be fine as well.
Yeah, so for the capacity line, like, I guess the idea is that it is an MVC, so I think we would probably be okay if we went with an option that was like, even if the research wasn't super definitive, we would probably be okay with just picking something and seeing how people responded to it. But we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, and I think we should be informed by end of week anyway, so that's good.
Okay, perfect. And then I'm going to pick on Donald as well. Donald, how do you feel about all that?
Yeah, I definitely don't think we should add anything else to it. I still need to go through and see if we can realistically on the front end get to all 4 of the stuff or all 5 of the stuff we've got here, just because we are short 1 person.
Oh yeah,
on the front end
no,
also,
that's right.
So.
And I completely forgot to mention that I haven't checked capacity for backend yet. But because these will be at the top, I'm just assuming that I'm going to be pushing other stuff out in favor of these, unless we think like, front end wise, we can't do it, because, we can't really have one person do 2 of these issues if they're high priority, I guess, unless it's tiny front end work, right?
Yeah. So I should be able to let you know, hopefully end of my day today, whether we have even enough capacity to get just these 5 done on the front end side.
Yeah. Okay. Let me make a note of that. So like, we'll aim for like by tomorrow, we've sort of decided what the major features that we're talking about here are. And then by the end of this week, we've figured out the capacity for the rest of the milestone. Does that sound good?
Yeah, sounds good to me.
Cool. Thank you. Okay. Anybody else got anything they wanted to bring up before I wrap this up? Okay, cool. This was my monologue for the week. Have a great day, everybody. And I'll speak to you all soon. Bye.
Bye, everyone.